You know that feeling, right? That itch you get when the year starts to wind down. It's this powerful, almost gravitational pull to just start over, wipe the slate clean, reinvent ourselves. Well, today, we're going to dive into exactly that, this universal impulse for renewal.
And look, it's a feeling so many of us share. Doesn't matter if it's a new year, a new semester, or even just a Monday morning. That idea of a clean slate, it just feels so full of potential. But if you ever stop to wonder, where does that feeling actually come from? And why is it so incredibly powerful?
I mean, you can practically feel it in the air every December, can't you? You see everyone buying fresh new planners, reorganizing their digital dashboards, talking about all the habits they're finally gonna reset. It's really become its own season, totally dedicated to the art of the fresh start. And it's so easy to just write this off as a modern thing, right? Something driven by New Year, New Me TikToks and that constant pressure for productivity. But what if I told you this deep-seated urge to be reborn is actually an ancient human story, one that goes back thousands and thousands of years? Yeah. To really get a handle on our modern desire for a, digital rebrand, we have to look way, way back to a myth that has captured the human imagination for millennia. I'm talking, of course, about the story of the phoenix. This legendary bird, it's the ultimate symbol of renewal. The story goes it lives for centuries, collapses into a pile of ash, and then, impossibly, miraculously, it's reborn. And when I say the roots go deep, I mean deep. The whole idea starts way back in ancient Egypt, around 2500 BCE, with a bird called the Bennu. Then, centuries later, the Greeks took that legend and reshaped it into the fiery phoenix we all picture today. So, see, this whole impulse for renewal, it's not some modern fad. It's one of our oldest stories. And that's the key right there. That's why this story has stuck around for literally thousands of years. It's not just because it's a cool myth. It's because it speaks to something so deeply human. It perfectly captures this fundamental pattern in our own lives, that endless cycle of endings and new beginnings. Okay, so how does an ancient story about a mythical bird have anything to do with us, right now? How on earth has the phoenix found new life in our digital world? Well, this is where it all clicks into place. Think about it. The phoenix lives for centuries. We enter a new phase of our life. The phoenix collapses into ash. We hit delete on all our old posts. The phoenix rises anew. We launch a brand new version of ourselves online. The pattern, it's literally the same. And this whole thing really kicked into high gear back in the early 2000s. Suddenly, with platforms like Facebook and then Instagram, our identities weren't just our own anymore. They became these public projects, totally visible, totally comparable, and always, always editable. Reinvention went from being this quiet, private wish to a public and honestly an almost necessary survival strategy. And the triggers for these digital rebirths? Oh, they're all around us in modern life. I mean, think about it. You start a new major, you go through a tough breakup, you study abroad for a semester, or maybe it's just a big shift in your mental health. All of these moments can feel like they demand a new digital self to go along with them. It's like the phoenix never really disappeared. It just evolved. It traded its mythical feathers for a digital profile. But here's where the story takes a really fascinating turn. Because what if I told you that most of this reinvention, it never actually happens in the real world? What if its real power is all in our heads? Let's just look at the hard data for a second. Studies on New Year's resolutions, they show this really clear pattern. Sure, about 40% of people manage to stick with it for a few months. But by the end of the year, we're down to only about 9% who actually succeed for the whole year. So yeah, most of our big, grand plans for reinvention, they kind of just fizzle out. So when you look at those numbers, it's pretty easy to get cynical, right? I mean, if we almost never follow through, is this whole cycle of planning and resetting just a giant waste of time? Well, not so fast, because researchers from the University of Illinois and Stanford, they dug into this, and they found something, well, something totally unexpected, something that completely changes the game. And this is the really wild part. It turns out that even when people don't actually do the thing, when they don't complete the reinvention, just the act of planning it, of imagining a new self, provides very real psychological benefits.
People reported feeling more motivated, having way more clarity on their goals, and even getting this powerful sense of emotional relief.
So maybe we've been looking at success all wrong this whole time. Maybe it's not about this dramatic overnight transformation to someone totally new. Maybe it's about something quieter, more gradual. The process of just recognizing the parts of yourself that are already ready to rise.
And that right there brings us to the real heart of the Phoenix myth and why we're still so obsessed with it. It all comes down to one word: permission. See, the myth was never about setting this impossibly high bar for a perfect, flawless transformation. No, it was a story about giving ourselves permission. Permission to start over. Permission to try again after we fall flat on our face. Permission to be reborn from our very own ashes.
And this is so important for younger generations today. I mean, think about it. They have to build their entire identities out in public under the constant microscope of the internet. So for them, reinvention isn't about being flaky or indecisive. It's a way to breathe. It's a way to find some space.
When you boil it all down, we reinvent ourselves for two big reasons: to choose ourselves again, especially after a big disappointment, and to give ourselves the chance to grow without feeling like we have to wait for some perfect, neat and tidy chapter ending to do it.
So that discomfort you feel right before a change, that feeling like everything is kind of falling apart, that is the fire. But remember, the fire isn't the end. It's just the moment right before the light comes back. So as you think about your own cycles of renewal, maybe the real question isn't how can I become someone totally different? Maybe it's something simpler and honestly a lot more powerful. Just ask yourself, what part of me is ready to rise?